Zoom.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to today's Augusta Baker Diversity Lecture, beautifully titled From Outlier to Mainstream, CALA's Journey for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in the Library World. My name is Sierra Harris, and I'm a doctoral student at the University of South Carolina. I'm in the Library and Information Science program, and I'm the advisee of the illustrious Augusta Baker Endowed Chair, Dr. Nicole Cook. And today I have the immense pleasure of introducing our speakers. But before we get started, I want to go over some quick Zoom housekeeping rules. So today's session will be recorded, and the recording will be sent out to every registered guest at the conclusion of the session. We ask that you mute yourself during the presentation, but utilize the chat to ask questions and engage throughout. There will be a time where you will be able to unmute yourself and ask our speakers questions. So let's get straight into the good stuff. Our distinguished speakers today are Ms. Wenli Gao, Ms. Hong Yao, Mr. Michael Huang, and Mrs. Grace Liu. Grace is currently the acting head of systems department and the engineering liaison librarian at the University of Windsor Leddy Library. Her research interests include library technology, library publishing, and services to international students. Grace has led grant-supported research projects across campus. She is a frequent speaker and presenter to professional conferences hosted by EFlat, ALA, NISO, and IEEE. Grace is the inaugural editor-in-chief of the International Journal of Librarianship, a peer-reviewed, open-access scholarly journal published by CALA. She is a founding member of the Visible Minority Librarians of Canada Network, the first network for ethnic minority librarians in Canada. She also led the creation of the CALA Canada chapter. Hong has worked in the public library system in New York City for over 25 years. Most recently, she holds the position of Director of Technical Services at Queens Public Library. She leads a team of over 100 staff to ensure that library materials are properly selected, ordered, cataloged, and prepared and delivered to all 65 locations to satisfy the demand of residents in Queens. Hong has been very active with professional organizations. She has served at different leadership roles with the New York Library Association and the American Library Association. Currently, Hong is the immediate past president of the Chinese American Libraries Association and has been elected as chair-elect and VP of OCLC, American Regional Council of its Global Council. Hong has also been a frequent speaker at regional, national, and international conferences and programs, and she is a part of the Library and Information Science Industry Speaker Series, an online forum hosted by Indiana University. Michael Huang is a distinguished librarian and director of global library initiatives at Stony Brook University. His significant contributions to Stony Brook University and the library profession, both locally and internationally, focus on Chinese digital and medical library initiatives. Through his teaching as a course instructor, library workshops, and consultations, Mr. Hong has contributed substantially to the understanding of evidence-based practice and the acquisition of information literacy skills for students and faculty in Stony Brook's Health Sciences program. As a director of global library initiatives, he has forged sustainable partnerships with libraries abroad and has sponsored visiting scholars to encourage the open exchange of ideas and best practices in librarianship. An accomplished and committed scholar, his publication record includes 4 co-edited books, 30 articles, and more than 100 presentations held at conferences in 14 countries. Man, he is a member of IFLA's North American Regional Division Committee, Health and Biosciences Library Section, Standing Committee and a chair of CALA's International Relations Committee. Mr. Hong is the editor for the International Journal of Librarianship. He received CALA's Distinguished Service Award in 2021 and twice received the Stony Brook President's Award for Excellence in Teen Achievement. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Winley Gao. Ms. Winley is the Collections Analytics Coordinator at the University of Houston, where she leads the analysis and presentation of collections data. Currently, she is the president for the Chinese American Libraries Association, one of the largest ethnic caucuses in the library science profession, with over 500 active members. She is one of the program directors for the 2021 Institute of Museum and Library Services grant titled Pathway to Leadership, National Forum on Advancing APIA Librarianship. Winley also serves on the Joint Conference of Librarians of Color Steering Committee and is the chair of the JCLC Fundraising and Sponsorships Committee. Let's welcome our distinguished and highly accomplished guest today.
Thank you.
I'm going to share slides. Okay. Can everyone see the slides okay? So thank you everyone for coming today. So the Chinese American Librarians Association, CALA, has been an active affiliate of ALA since 1976 and is one of the 5 members of the JCLC. Currently, CALA has 8 chapters in the United States and Canada. Throughout the years, CALA has served as a leader in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in the library profession, speaking on issues that affects librarians of color and the communities they serve. A recent example is being invited along with Asian Pacific American Librarians Association, APALA, to reflect on race and racism in American libraries along with other library leaders. So any individuals that supports CALA's mission may become a CALA member. So it's not limited to just Chinese Americans. Anyone that supports CALA's mission may become a CALA member. And CALA membership is very affordable, $15 for students and $30 for working professionals each year. And once you become a member, you have a lot of opportunities to join committees and take advantages of the various CALA scholarships and grants. This year's call for volunteer just came out and the deadline is May 16. So it's still not too late to join CALA and get your opportunities for your professional services. CALA has a travel grant to support people to attend ALA conferences and EFlat conference. We also support ALA emerging leader programs for providing funding for 2 emerging leaders every year. If you are interested in research, there are research awards and grants available for both published research and research in the development stage too. And in 2020, CALA created its new strategic plan. The CALA 2020 to 2025 strategic plan focused on 6 strategic goals that maximize strengths, utilize expertise, and sharpen skills, deliver high value to members, and heighten the association's far-reaching impact on CALA and the overall LIS field. Yeah. So here you can see the 6 strategic goals: increasing membership recruitment, retention, and engagement, conduct leadership training and career development, provide professional development opportunities through training and mentoring, support local chapter development, offer professional networking through digital technologies, and make CALA's impact on local, state, and national, international levels. And you'll hear more about these. So during my presidency, I focused on leadership development and collaborated with CALA to apply for a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, IMLS. Our project Path to Leadership, National Forum on Advancing APIA Librarianship, received funding from IMLS to host a 2 half-day online forum to support leadership development opportunities for the community of APIA library workers. Funding will provide 50 library and information science students and professionals at all levels with the opportunity to build strategies to develop APIA library leaders and solutions for the barriers that they experience. The forum will produce a white paper documenting ideas for leadership development pipelines among APIA library workers and a curriculum outline for leadership programs that's specifically for APIA library workers. So far, we conclude the forum and we are having monthly webinars to continue the discussions. And forum participants will also have a reunion event at ALA conference this summer. And this year, CALA and Apollo also dedicated their President's Program at ALA conference. So if you are attending ALA, feel free to join these programs. Talking about ALA programs, CALA also have a poster program at ALA. And this poster program geared towards library information science students or early career professionals. So we want to encourage those people to have opportunities to present at national conferences. So if you are attending ALA this year, stop by, and you can also see in the chat, there's a link for previous poster sessions. So you can take a look at previous posters and stop by our poster session this year at ALA. And if you join CALA, we will have call for present proposal again for next year. And I guarantee you they are very welcoming. So feel free to submit your proposal next year. And now I'll turn the floor to Michael.
Next slide. Good afternoon, I'm Michael Huang. The Chinese American Librarians Association, CALA, is committed to establishing closer relationships and collaborations with national and international library organizations, such as ALA, EFlat, and Library Society of China, to advocate equity, diversity, inclusion, social justice, and open access. CALA promotes and supports international library-related activities and programs in accordance with CALA's strategic plan. In support of CALA's global mission before and during COVID-19, CALA members have strived to engage in global library projects and collaborations, including Think Globally, Act Globally, a US-China librarian collaboration project, CALA 21st Century Librarian Seminar Series, CALA academic sessions presented at China Library Annual Conferences, participation in Shanghai International Library Forums, and serving as chairs and members at EFlat section standing committees and the leadership positions of ALA. The current global crisis has highlighted more than ever the importance of our role in promoting international library collaborations for a sustainable future. Next slide. As chair of the International Relations Committee, I'm so glad to share with you CALA's global library engagement. And this is just a glimpse of what CALA has been doing in the international library field. For example, at the 2015 China Library Annual Conference held in Guangzhou, China, CALA presented an academic session titled "The Library's Role in Social Advancement, Current Trends in Academic and Public Libraries in the United States." CALA presented an academic session titled "Innovative Library Services and Teaching with Emerging Technologies" at 2018 China Library Annual Conference held in Langfang, China. Next slide. CALA also has collaborated with libraries in China, co-organizing international conferences, such as the second and the third International Library Conference on Leadership and Innovative Management in Academic Libraries in the Age of New Technology, held in Tongji University in Shanghai, China. I was appointed Secretariat General and a member of the organizing committee of the conference. And a number of CALA members were invited to present their research. Next slide. The current pandemic didn't stop CALA members' scholarly activities in international librarianship. Michael Huang, SUNY Distinguished Librarian and Director of Global Library Initiatives at Stony Brook University, was invited to deliver a keynote speech titled "Responding to COVID-19 in Visiting Role of Libraries" at the National Librarians Day commemoration in India on August 12, 2020. CALA Executive Director, Dr. Liyan Ran, was invited to make a pre-recorded online presentation titled "Research Collaboration on DH, a publishing of special issue of Library Trends" at the China Digital Humanities 2020 Shanghai Conference. Li Li, Professor and Research Services Librarian of Georgia Southern University, presented digital scholarship services at American University Libraries at a symposium on digital scholarship services at Research Libraries organized by the National Sciences Library of Chinese Academy of Sciences on December 17th to 17th, December 16th to 17th, 2020. Dr. Liyan Ran and Dr. Xingyue Du from National Science Library in Beijing co-audited a special issue for Library Trends titled "Digital Humanities and Libraries in China." Next slide. Lloyd Garcia-Febo, ALA President 2018 to 2019, presented a keynote speech titled "Challenges, Innovation and Development, Libraries at the Forefront Supporting Communities as Technologies Transform Our World" at the 6th Sino-Foreign University Library Annual Conferences at Wenzhou Qian University in Wenzhou, China in September 2020. Dr. Liyan Ran presented Digital Humanities and iSchool in Illinois at the South China Normal University in Guangzhou, China on March 23rd, 2022. Next slide. CALA is a member of EFlat, and a number of CALA members are elected to serve on EFlat section standing committees. We have Ray Pen, Edward Junhao Lin are members of the Continuing Professional Development and Workplace Learning. Ning Zhou is chair of the Information Literacy Section Standing Committee. Ming Chou, Yan He, and Ming Tong are all members of that section. Michael Huang is currently serving his second term on the Health and Biosciences Library Section Standing Committee. Dr. Sali Zhang, Dean of Auburn University Libraries, is the chair of the EFlat Journal Editorial Committee. Grace Liu and Michael Huang are all members of the Library Publishing Interest Group Communication Committee. Carrera Su and Liyan Ran are members of the Library Theory and Research Section Standing Committee. Lloyd Garcia-Febo is member of the Management of Library Associations. Le Yang and Xi Chen are members of the Library Services to Multicultural Populations. On the Social Sciences section, Library section, Wang Li Gao served as a member. Next slide. CALA members, of course, are very active in EFlat and ALA. Patty Wang, CALA member, is the president of the American Library Association for the 2021 to 2022 term, and she is the first Asian American president of the ALA. The ALA election results were announced yesterday. Emily Drobinski was elected 2023 to 2024 ALA president, and Emily is also a CALA member. CALA members Michael Huang and Ying Zhang have been elected to serve as 2 of the 10 librarians representing the United States on the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions. That's EFLA's North America Regional Division Committee. In these roles, they support the development and implementation of initiatives that respond to needs in the field of library science. The EFLA's North America Regional Division is a new division of EFLA, the global voice of libraries. Currently, we are reaching out to national and international, national and regional library associations across the United States and Canada to build a more powerful advocacy with policymakers and to ensure that the benefits of engaging with EFLA are well known across North America. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Wendy, for telling a great story of CALA. So what I'm going to try to talk to you is basic more personal experiences as a CALA president during a very challenging time. So I would say saying challenging is an understatement. So I took over CALA during the thick of pandemic. So at that time, all my goals or the visions I have CALA sort of have to be put on hold, on pause as any other things. So when we were all forced to shut down to mitigate the spread of virus. So when we were all struggling to really get get used to the new norm of running meetings virtually, we were also thrown into the reality of dealing with another pandemic, systematic racism. To many of my fellow people of color, racism is not new in our society. However, it really just moved to in the front and the center of our life during that time, actually, when our president keep on calling this is a Chinese virus. I'd like to share with you an article my husband actually posted on Daily Kos, documenting an incident really happened to both of us in March 2020. I was waiting to check out our grocery. The line was long, but shoppers were all patient. Ahead of me was an elderly gentleman pulling a loaded shopping cart with 2 big packages, toilet papers on top. Remember toilet paper run? When it was his turn, perhaps a bit too quickly toward the counter and 1 package fell off. Without much thinking, I stepped forward to pick up the toilet paper, but was immediately stopped by a loud, "I got it." The gentleman hastily came over, picked up the package and put it on the counter. He avoided looking toward me, but I saw his face, I saw his eye, and I could sense his fear. Suddenly, I became keenly aware of my being Chinese. Virus is invisible and can be deadly. When it strikes, people tend to be afraid and frightened. They were getting angry and resentful if nothing is being done to tackle the outbreak. One easy way to direct people's anger away from government's inaction or failure is to find a scapegoat, a visible scapegoat. Their tactics at that time really has a deadly and a disastrous consequences for Asian Americans. So we witnessed Atlanta's mass shooting and a sharp increase of overall hate crime against Asians throughout the country. So we all know racism is all along. We live and breathe through it, but many of us don't really know what to do with it. Oftentimes we walk away, shrug it off when it happened, and try to treat it as an isolated incident happened on a bad day. Jeremy Lin, an outspoken critic of anti-Asian hate, put it this way when asked why he didn't speak out as a younger player. He said, "I was just naive. I didn't understand just how systematic it was, how subtle it was. It was kind of just my way of dealing with it, because when I was dealing with racism, which happened all the time in terms of on the court, it was just like, I can't focus on this. I've got to be me, and I have to be as great as I can be." Now we know that walking away, ignoring it, or shrugging off do not work. So with the media's effort of focusing on exposing many of those anti-Asian hate crimes throughout the country, CALA seized the opportunity really to speak up. So at CALA at that time, we decided to approach this movement in a couple of ways. First is educating the public. So next slide, please. A powerful way, educating the public is a powerful way to fight racism is education. So conversation about prejudice with children starting at a younger age go a long way toward building empathy and acceptance. And the books can be a great tool for sending important messages. Our member, Michelle Lee's list of 10 fiction, nonfiction, and comic books was published by the New York Times. It will help kids of all backgrounds understand and combat this wave of anti-Asian hate and bullying, and provide more context to Americans' history of discrimination. Next slide. Filming, streaming of documentary, Far East, Deep South. It's virtual. We hold that film discussion with filmmaker really helped us to understand the dark history of anti-Asian and anti-Chinese in American history. So it's another way to educating the public, or educating the public and educating ourselves. Where our roots were, how our history started in this country. The second one is harder, is to building coalition. So we've got to understand this is not a fight of Asians against white. It is a fight of all colors, white, black, brown, against racism, hate, and bigotry. So I joined ALA affiliate and the division leaders to speak up against racism and bigotry at that time. And this piece was published in June 9, 2020 by American Libraries. As a president-elect of CALA, I am running on behalf of my organizations in condemning violence and racism toward Black people and all people of color. It is time for us to unite behind one voice to end racial discrimination, which is toxic in our society and sickens and kills in a more devastating way than any virus on Earth. It is time for us to call out racist behavior so that it doesn't have the oxygen to grow. It is time for us to condemn. It is time for us to demand equal rights and equal access for everyone, especially those who have been marginalized in the society for too long. As information professional with Chinese backgrounds, we understand the feelings of desire, despair, many of African American colleagues are experiencing. We will use what we are most familiar with, information, to arm ourselves in any form of activism we engage in. We will take any opportunity to educate our members, colleagues, publics, and families and friends on equity, diversity, and inclusion. We will challenge our fellow Chinese not to stay silent when any racist behavior are displayed, whether toward Black, brown, or any other people of color. I want to emphasize here as the point for we will educate, take every opportunity to educate our members, colleagues, and public family friends on equity, diversity, and inclusion. Why do I need to do that? I don't know if you remember back 2020, one of the 4 policemen involved in the killing of George Floyd is Tao, an Asian American. Maybe because of this, there has been heated discussions among Asian Americans about race relation, about anti-Blackness in Asian American communities. Some of you may remember those heated discussions happened in the living room of many families members in America. When we were really sort of isolated, we were staying home with our multi-generations discussions, and discussions, actually arguments, all these happened. So on dinner table in the living room, we've seen families torn apart during the holiday seasons when different views presented themselves. It happens, definitely happens also in my families with my 2 adult children took temporary shelter in my house, and we started to talk about, it's a topic at that time. And then fortunately we were on the same page, but over social media, we see so many different voices. One Yale student, Aileen Wong, wrote an open letter asking Chinese Americans to stand with African Americans, which was followed by a lecturing from a seemingly indignant Chinese father, accusing her of being brainwashed by American education. And then that was also received a prompt rebuke from another Chinese father with seizing criticism on the misplaced attack on Miss Wang. So these are like happened. It's in the history. It's very ugly at that time, but really, that's something we wanted to constantly go back when we're thinking about equity, diversity, inclusion. I want you to please allow me to share with you another article actually posted by my husband also on Daily Kos. Sort of illustrates the frustrations we as a family of Chinese Americans have with some of our fellow members, and also documented reasons why we need to build a coalition to fight racism, systemic racism in this country. Being Asian, I'm desperately ill-prepared to comment on African American struggle with racism and then the fight against systematic oppression. However, I do have African American friends who were followed around by security in some expensive stories. I have known people who were stopped by police because they fit a certain racial profiling. One of my former colleagues was once stopped and frisked in Manhattan during broad daylight for no reason other than his color of skin. Racism and bias against our fellow African American citizens are real, and the pain that has inflicted on them is real. We Asian American must stand with our Black brothers and sisters. We must join this fight because it is also our fight. America's institutional racism is not limited to Blacks only. Remember the Chinese Exclusion Act? Remember the Johnson-Reed Act? These were federal laws, and those anti-Asian measures were only terminated due in no small part to the civil rights movement in the 50s and the 60s. I bet without the fight and the sacrifice of people such as Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr., John Lewis, and many of us would still be daydreaming of American dream across the ocean. Asian Americans are often presented as model minorities. I don't know who coined that phrase. I suspect whoever coined that phrase is not Asian, and I strongly suspect he or she coined this phrase with ulterior motives. I'm all for any person, any immigrants, any minorities, Asians included, to work hard, achieve success, and realize the American dream. However, I resent anyone who uses Asian as model minorities for the purpose of putting down another ethnic group. I'm deeply saddened and suffocatingly depressed to see that there are those Asians who would loudly enjoy the title of model minorities while quietly reap the benefit resulted from the fight, sacrifice, and sometimes the lives of non-model minorities. I'm confident and say, without such sacrifice, today that indignant father would still be lecturing in any La La Land he could indulge in, but not in America. Thank you for listening, and to thank you for the opportunity to share with you my thoughts.
Thank you, Hong. I am going to talk about CALA's effort on open access academic publication today. CALA has an academic journal called International Journal of Librarianship, IJO. It is a peer-reviewed open access scholarly publication. This link will open the journal website. Please take a look if you are interested, and you can reach us for any questions. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you, Wendy. IJO publishes original research papers, practical developments, reviews, and commentaries of value to professional practice in librarianship in general. It also includes articles in the sections introducing list education and the library associations around the world. Next slide. The journal was initiated in 2015 by a group of librarians and professors from the United States, Canada, and China. After 1.5 years tireless effort from all team members, the inaugural issue was successfully launched in December 2016. Till now, the journal has published 11 issues, including 107 articles, among which 69 are peer-reviewed. The journal is archived by the Library of Congress and indexed in DOAJ, the Directory of Open Access Journals, ProQuest, and EBSCO academic databases. So all articles published by this journal are included in these databases and permanently preserved by the Library of Congress. The journal's authors, editors, peer reviewers, and other contributors are highly diversified. Many of them are from underrepresented regions and cultures in library publishing. Next slide. This is a map we created for the countries and areas of authors who have published with us. We use the rule of one country, one dot. For example, we may have 30 authors from the United States, but we only record one dot in this map. The purpose of this map is to show the geographical coverage for our journal. From this map, we can see that our authors came from all over the world, including Canada, the US, the United States, Brazil, the UK, Finland, Turkey, South Africa, China, and Australia, etc. We are proud to see IJO has become a truly international publication. Next slide. Our editorial team has done a lot of outreach activities to promote this journal and advocate open access scholarly publications. Here are some pictures showing the examples we have done. We have presented to the international conferences, including the ALA, EFlat, and the SILF, the Shanghai International Library Forum. So yeah, in this picture, in these slides, I included the EFlat Congress in Columbus, the United States in 2016, Wrocław, Poland in 2017, and the EFlat Congress in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia in 2018, and the ALA annual conference in Orlando in 2016. In 2018, our editorial team collaborated with Shanghai Library and the editors of 22 core library journals in China to host a conference section in the Shanghai International Library Forum to have a dialogue with library publishing, advocate open access, academic publication, and international collaboration among the United States, Canada, and China. Next slide. We also visited libraries and other organizations to promote this journal and introduce the English writing standard to librarians, library school students, and other information professionals in China. The left two photos in this slide are the two examples of the lectures we delivered to the library administrators, professors, librarians, and students in Anhui University of Science and Technology in Huainan, China, and Fudan University in Shanghai, China. And we also did online lectures to conferences and library schools. See the two pictures on the right side of this slide. One is an online presentation I co-presented with Raymond Peng at Stanford University. Ray has edited one issue for our journal as a guest editor. We shared our experience in this presentation with publishing this issue and working with international authors from all over the world. And then last May, I also had an online conversation with librarians, library school students, and professors from the United States, Canada, and China about publishing journal articles in North America. In addition, I have been serving on the EFlat Library Publishing Special Interest Group since 2018. We contributed to the initiation and the development of this committee, and I chair the communication subcommittee under this special group since 2018. And this EFlat library publishing map in the middle of the slides is a project we collaborated with Library Publishing Coalition and Shanghai Library. We have been promoting this project to libraries in Asia, Africa, and other regions underrepresented. Next slide. So this is the last one. Thank you for listening. Please join us and support CALA. CALA, as Wendy pointed out early, CALA welcomes all librarians, library school students, and other professionals who are interested in Chinese librarianship. Everyone is welcome. Thank you. Now we open the floor to questions. I'm handing over to Sierra for questions. Thank you, Sierra.
Yes, this was amazing. Naomi Bishop in the chat wrote, I saw on the website that the CALA has awards. Can you share some more about the book awards you have and how often these are awarded?
So I can briefly talk a little bit about it, but if you're interested in more details, I can connect to you to the book award chairs. I believe it is like each year we select book awards.
And then a link was just dropped in the chat. So I know before the presentation started, you all talked about the benefits of joining as a student. Can you go into more detail about some of the things that students will gain from being a member of your organization?
So students, when they join, they will get access to the listserv first. So they have a lot of information they can have access to. And also they can volunteer for any committees. I actually encourage students to get their service experience from CALA because sometimes it's harder to get into national committees and it's a good place to start. And I believe we also have like student scholarship for the first year membership. So I believe you can get first year for free. We have a grant for that for students too, if you're interested in that. Otherwise, it's $15, but we encourage you to apply for the student scholarship too. You can basically waive the first year.
I just wanted to add, there are a lot of benefits actually once you join. We have a lot of awards. When I was president, I was like, oh, wait, there's another award here. There are a lot of the committee took care of all these, but you'll start to see all those, awards coming your way with for different category of, students or professionals, research grants, some different kind of travel grant to EFlat grant. So a lot of things. So there are many benefits joining CALA. I never regretted to get more involved. It's a lot of work, but it's really, I think it's a new profession for, it's a passion, and I really think, it's worth for me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, we provide such as conference travel grant. Each year we provide 10 grants. So for members, they can apply for this travel grant every 3 years. Also, every year we provide a 10 EFlat registration grants. So we support 10 people, 10 CALA members to attend EFlat World Library Congress. And each recipient will receive $600 to pay for their registration. And for EFlat, the registration grant, you can apply for it every year. So there are so many benefits of joining CALA. So we certainly welcome all those LIS students to become a member of CALA.
Thank you.
Just one last addition, CALA has a mentoring program as well.
Yes, that's what every student needs.
And we have scholarship that's specifically for LIS students. And with the scholarship, I believe it's $1,000 scholarship, and you are also paired with a mentor. Like I'm mentoring a student in Canada this year to help her to navigate the LIS profession, which area she wants to go to, tips for job searching, things like that.
Amazing. Dr. Cook wrote in the chat that she was particularly moved by Hong's discussion of anti-Asian hate. Can you talk a little more about what we can do to be allies? For example, there have been lots of webinars on being active bystanders. What else can we do?
This is a great question. And I think I also personally attended so many webinars on bystander. I think it's great tips, all these things, and also living in New York, many of these things really help us to at least protect yourself. But what's next? I think it's lingering on people's mind as well. We also have at Queens Public Library, we also have Presidential's Council racial, how do we create program really to move forward. So many people are asking what's next. I felt like, we really, to me, for Asian Americans, I felt like education is really, is a key, because people don't understand history. People don't really, when you don't know, you ignorance comes with it. So education, we may have, many of us may have language barriers, but it pays to really educate people in whatever way we can. Books or seminars on those, and of course Asian is so complicated. There's so many Asians too, so I don't know, but for me was, if you can get to one person, that's a success. These are one person at a time. But I think at a library level, what we are thinking is really CALA is taking a step for leadership pathway. When we see a lot of people in a leadership position, maybe people, we can not only help each other, we can also develop others. That's the most important task for people of color, in a better position now. But we need to look out for the newcomers. People have different ideas, and we really want to develop them. Mentorship, education, that's right now I'm thinking one person at a time. I mentored one girl last week, a Chinese Americans, or, she reached out to me. So, these, I think every one of us treated as something we're passionate about, something we want to do. And I think hopefully the world will be better.
Beautiful. Kiera in the chat asked about the articles that were shared earlier in the presentation. People want their hands on those articles that you all shared. So as long as we can have those at the end as well.
Okay, I'll look for it.
Yes, I'm gonna pass it over to Dr. Cook now. Thank you so much for everything, you all.
Thank you so much. If there are no further questions, I just want to thank our esteemed colleagues for joining us today and spending some time. And when we were getting prepped for today's session, Michael made a remark and said, we just want LIS students to know that they can have a wonderful career in libraries. And certainly we've had amazing examples of this. So I just want to sincerely thank them for taking time out to just come share their expertise and their experiences with us. We're very grateful. And with that, we are at the conclusion of the Baker Diversity Lecture Series this semester for spring of 2022. So we just want to thank everyone for coming out, whether you came to one session. I know there's some folks who have been to all the sessions. We are very grateful for you. And we are already working on programming for next year. So please keep an eye out on @BakerChair on Twitter. That's where I announce, all of our programming. Also, please don't forget, and I'm just going to pop this into the chat, what I call our Big Baker Lecture. Will be next Friday, is April 22nd already, with Dr. Jeannie Austin, and Dr. Austin will officially cap off a great season of programming. And so again, just thank you all so very much. Shout out to Sierra Harris and Kiera Vargas for keeping the train running. I'm sure you all can appreciate that having a lecture series with 10 amazing sessions is a lot of work, and they've been certainly putting in that work and helping us stay on track. So very grateful. All right, so please enjoy the rest of your evening. For the students, good luck on the rest of your semester. We're almost done. And to my colleagues that are joining us, be well, and we look forward to seeing you in fall of 2022 when we start our next Baker Lecture Series. So thanks everyone so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Dr. Cook. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you, Sierra.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.